We're almost live, yes. Yeah. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Mm-hmm. I think someone's sleeping. Someone's snoring. Yeah, I think it's Edward.
Exactly.
Do you hear it? Okay, so we can start now, inshallah.
Yeah, we can start. Okay, let's see.
Who's snoring, man? Let me mute them.
Is someone snoring still? I muted my microphone,
Uh-huh.
so it wasn't
Okay.
from this,
Okay.
from my end.
Yeah, go
Okay,
on. I
let's
think
see.
we're good now.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I will be your moderator today, or reader, or preacher. Uh, and last time we ended at Surah 9, verse 33. Submission destined to prevail. And we will today continue from Surah 9, verse 34. And before we read Quran, we have to seek refuge in God from Satan the rejected, from Satan the trickster. So we say, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. And the literal translation is, I seek refuge in God from Satan the rejected. And it's a very important statement that we should always be aware of. We should always seek it. We should always seek refuge in God from evil. Okay, I will start, as I said, from verse 34. There's a subtitle: Beware of professional religionists, O you who believe. Many religious leaders and preachers take the people's money illicitly and repel from the path of God those who hoard the gold and silver and do not spend them in the cause of God. Promise them a painful retribution. The day will come when their gold and silver will be heated in the fire of hell, then used to burn their foreheads, their sides, and their backs. This is what you hoarded for yourselves, so taste what you have hoarded. So, quick comment here. The professional religionists, it is easy to spot them because the purpose of their leadership or preaching is to seek prominence or to climb the social ladder, so to speak. But an actual, like a real leader or preacher, they are genuine, and you can recognize that they are not after money or fame or money, fame, or whatever. They just care about the truth. So that's an important distinction. And the subtitle says beware. So we should be careful. We should beware of them. We should study who the preacher is, who the leader is, where are they coming from, what their agenda is, what is their purpose. So yeah, no blind following. Then the verse 34, the last sentence, those who hoard the gold and silver and do not spend them in the cause of God, promise them a painful retribution. So these are people who love money and silver, like money, gold, silver, whatever, the worldly materials, and they don't share. They don't spend them in the cause of God. And you can go into details about the definition of cause of God, but a quick definition is, who is God? God is merciful, justice, stands for justice, stands for doing the right thing and helping people, things like that. So you spend the money in the cause of justice, feeding the poor, helping people, and stuff like that. So that's a quick definition as well. Okay, moving on. Verse 36. There's a subtitle. God's system. 12 months per year. So the verse is, the count of month as far as God is concerned is 12. This has been God's law since the day he created the heavens and the earth. 4 of them are sacred. This is the perfect religion. You shall not wrong your souls by fighting during the sacred month. However, you may declare all-out war against the idol worshippers even during the sacred month, when they declare all-out war against you, and know that God is on the side of the righteous. And there's a footnote. The word month is mentioned in the Quran 12 times, and the day 365 times. So just quick comments here. It says the system of 12 months has existed since the earth was created. So that's interesting, because the calendar, the so-called modern calendar, it was just recently developed and defined, basically, like not recently, but a few thousand years ago. But God is talking about a system that has already existed since the day the earth was created. And 4 of them are sacred. So they have always been sacred, and the people have known about them. Interesting. And the last sentence here, know that God is on the side of the righteous. This is a very important statement. God is not on this person's side or this person's side or your side or my side. God is on the side of the righteous. And the righteous can be anyone. One day I'm righteous, maybe the next day I'm not righteous. So it's a system. So we have to be aware of ourselves, or self-aware at all times. I think other verses, some verse says, maintain righteousness. So it is something you have to maintain. It's an effort. You have to put effort into it. Okay, moving on. Verse 37. Altering the sacred month. I'm sorry for the noise in the background. Okay, Surah 9, verse 37. Altering the sacred month is a sign of excessive disbelief. It augments the straying of those who have disbelieved. They alternate the sacred month and the regular month, while preserving the number of months consecrated by God. They thus violate what God has consecrated. Their evil works are adorned in their eyes. God does not guide the disbelieving people. And there's a footnote explaining what is going on. The sacred month, according to the corrupted Muslim world, are Rajab, and these are the name of the months in the Hijrah calendar. Rajab is a month. Zul Qa'da is another month. Zul Hijjah is another month. And Muharram is also the name of another month. It's like January, February, March, and stuff like that. Okay, someone is crying. Sorry. And it
It's okay. Don't worry about it. You can barely
okay.
hear it. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
It's really annoying. And these months are the 7th, the 11th, 12th, and 1st of the Islamic calendar. A careful study of the Quran, however, reveals that they should be Zulhijjah, Muharram, Safar, and Rabi al-Awwal, Rabi Wahad, Rabi 1. So 12th, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd months of the Hijrah calendar. See Appendix 15 for more information. I don't know why they changed it, but we can do, maybe someone can share that later in the discussion. Okay, moving on. Next verse, 38. O you who believe, when you are told, mobilize in the cause of God, why do you become heavily attached to the ground? Have you chosen this worldly life in place of the hereafter? The materials of this world compared to the hereafter are nil. The materials of this world compared to the hereafter are nil. Unless you mobilize, he will commit you to painful retribution and substitute other people in your place. You can never hurt him in the least. God is omnipotent. So those are interesting verses, very, very clear. Very clear verses. So what does it mean to mobilize, right? It's a clear command. Mobilize in the cause of God. You counter evil. You have to counter evil. You have to mobilize against evil. And God exposes the hypocrites, the disbelievers. They are the ones who choose this worldly life. It's so easy for us to say, yeah, of course I believe in the hereafter and I choose the hereafter over this life. Easy, lip service. But when it comes, where to put you where your money is worth or walk your talk, people expose themselves. They expose that they actually love this world. They still love it. Busy doing what they want to do. They prefer their own opinion, their own whatever they are doing. Right, and the next verse, unless you mobilize, he will commit you to painful retribution and substitute other people in your place. So a retribution could be a great loss. So maybe you're afraid of losing your house, so you lose your house anyways, in a painful way. And not only that, but you will also be replaced. There's no reason for God to use you anymore. Who are you? God will focus on someone else. Like you will be replaced. So if we don't fight against evil, the trait, like the liars, the people making up stuff like circumcision and all these fake messengers and all this nonsense going on, then God will replace us. God will punish us and replace us. Okay, next verse 40. God's invincible soldiers. If you fail to support him, the messenger, God has already supported him. Thus, when the disbelievers chased him, and he was one of two in the cave, he said to his friend, "Do not worry, God is with us." And then God then sent down contentment and security upon him, and supported him with invincible soldiers. He made the word of the disbelievers lowly. God's word reigns supreme. God is almighty, most wise. So, just a quick note here to strengthen the idea of you have to first believe before you get rewarded. So you first have to submit before you get guided. And we can see here in this verse how the messenger said, "Do not worry, God is with us." So of course he was fleeing. He had nothing, and they wanted to kill him. So, but he believed. He still held true to God. He believed in God. He trusted in God. That do not worry, God is with us. God then sent down contentment and security upon him, and supported him with invincible soldiers. Like reward, he gets rewarded. So again, you submit first, then you get guidance and the evidence and the proofs and all that good stuff. Because it's part of the test. Okay, next verse 41. Better believers strive in the cause of God. Again, strive. How do you strive? Do you sit at home and do nothing? No, that's not striving. Turning the other cheek, that's not striving. When you see evil and dismiss it without countering it, you're not striving. So 41, you shall readily mobilize, light or heavy, and strive with your money and your lives in the cause of God. This is better for you if you only knew. So I defined earlier what it means to spend or strive in the cause of God. Uh, it's all about justice, countering evil with good. It's all defined in the Quran what cause of God means, and you have to understand who God is: the Merciful, the Wise, the Knowledgeable. Right? So you can strive in the cause of God by sharing knowledge, wisdom. If someone has false information, you give them the truth. If someone doesn't understand anything, you give them the wisdom. All that contributes to striving in the cause of God. But the verse here specifically is, of course, physical, like mobilize, light or heavy, it doesn't matter. Strive with your money and your lives. But still, we can learn from the verse how to strive in other aspects, in other areas of conflict or whatever. So moving on, the sedentary. Okay, verse 42. If there were a quick material gain and a short journey, they would have followed you. But the striving is just too much for them. They will swear by God, if we could, we would have mobilized with you. They thus hurt themselves, and God knows that they are liars. God has pardoned you. Why did you give them permission to stay behind? Before you could distinguish those who are truthful from the liars. Oh, that's interesting. Those who truly believe in God and the last day do not ask your permission to evade the opportunity to strive with their money and their lives. God is fully aware of the righteous. The only people who wish to be excused are those who do not really believe in God and the last day. Their hearts are full of doubts, and their doubts cause them to waver. Had they really wanted to mobilize, they would have prepared for it thoroughly. But God disliked the participation, so He discouraged them. They were told, stay behind with those who are staying behind. Had they mobilized with you, they would have created confusion and would have caused disputes and division among you. Some of you were apt to listen to them. God is fully aware of the transgressors. They sought to spread confusion among you in the past and confounded the matters for you. However, the truth ultimately prevails, and God's plan is carried out in spite of them. Some of them would say, give me permission to stay behind. Do not impose such hardship on me. In fact, they have thus incurred a terrible hardship. Hell is surrounding the disbelievers. If something good happens to you, they hurt. If an affliction befalls you, they say, we told you so, and they turn away rejoicing. Say, nothing happens to us except what God has decreed for us. He is our Lord and Master. In God the believers shall trust. Say, you can only expect for us one of two good things, victory or martyrdom, while we expect for you condemnation from God and retribution from him, or at our hands. Therefore wait, and we will wait along with you. Say, spend willingly or unwillingly, nothing will be accepted from you, for you are evil people. Wow. So let me go through these verses again. So that was from 42 to 53. Let me see. So again, it says in 41, you shall readily mobilize, light or heavy, with your money and your life. So it's not necessarily, so this verse covers all kinds of mobilizing, not just physical war. This is like it literally says with your money and your lives. So for example, here's an example. Someone makes an ad for alcohol, so you can make a counter ad against alcohol. Right? You're spending money to strive in the cause of God. Like that's one way of striving. There's so many battles. You just pick and choose. Just pick and choose. The world is a crazy place. So pick and choose. You have there's no shortage where you can strive in the cause of God. There is no shortage. You look left, right, everywhere. You can see a way to strive for God. So then we have 42. If there were a quick material gain, a short journey, so this means, they will strive if it's like a small thing that doesn't require much effort. And why is that? Because the quick, if it's short and quick and there's material gain, then that's why they do it, because there's a material gain and it's quick, easy money, easy whatever. But if it's a long journey that costs a lot and whatever, then it becomes, in their mind, a desert. In their mind, it's a desert. There's no gain, like worldly gain. Because, strive with your lives. But you're not going to get rich. You're not going to benefit much from it from a worldly point of view. And that's what exposes their disbelief, because they expose that they don't believe in the hereafter. People who believe in the hereafter, they don't care about material gain. Right? Oh, 1 million, yes, great, thank you. And they give away the 1 million or do something with it, spend it in the cause of God. It's not like a believer doesn't hoard, doesn't like, maybe, okay, of course you save for the house, maybe, of course, like you have a plan. It's part of a plan to strive for God. But it's not like you're watching your bank account grow and feeling great. Right? It's like money is a tool. It's a tool. It's nothing more. Money is just a tool for the believer. But for the disbelievers, there's value in it. Oh, money. Ooh, give me money. I feel better now. It's like that. That's how the disbelievers are. Okay, moving. So, oh yeah, so, and this is talking about people who gave them permission as well. And in verse 43, it says, God has pardoned you. Why did you give them permission to stay away? Before you could distinguish those who are truthful from the liars. Right? So I think maybe this is specifically for the messenger, but we can definitely learn from it. For example, it's so easy for someone to come up with a flimsy excuse. Oh, my back hurts, or whatever. Like, oh, I can't do it today, or like some excuse, whatever. And we're like very nice, being too nice. Like, okay, no problem. We can maybe some time else. Like, we're being friendly, we're being nice. And then God says, God has pardoned you. So obviously you committed something bad. You did something wrong by giving them permission to stay behind. So this verse indicates that you did something wrong. It is wrong to give people to go along with flimsy excuses. Like, don't go along with it. Like, expose them. Oh, your back hurt? Well, and then maybe you slap them on the back or whatever to get them moving. So yeah, don't give in to the flimsy excuses. And then the next verse 44 says, those who truly believe in God and the last day will never ask for permission to evade a chance to strive for God with their life and with their money. Like, why would they? So that's interesting. And of course, this is about the messenger, so but we can still learn from it. And I'm saying this because there might be a conflict. Maybe one believer has a plan, and I have my own plan for striving in the cause of God, and then you call each other out. Come strive with me, and then I'm saying, no, come strive with me, and it becomes like a conflict. So I don't know. But you could help each other or whatever. But so this verse is specifically talking about people, about the messenger, like the project or command of the messenger. But I think as believers, we can also use this for submitters. For example, submitters, they don't know, or younger people, they don't know, like they don't have any plan, maybe they don't know, they're lost, they need guidance, maybe. So you can give them projects like, okay, do this, like strive for the cause of God by doing this project here, or you can go and do that until they grow up, become their own master, and they have their own projects to strive in the cause of God or whatever. So we can use these verses to apply to those situations as well. So moving on. So this again, verse 45 verifies again, reminds us, the only people who wish to be excused are those who do not really believe in God and the last day. Straightforward. Very straightforward. Had they really wanted to mobilize, they would have prepared for it thoroughly. So again, that's another like behavior you can study to examine a person if they are being honest or dishonest. So like body language almost, how you can read people and their intentions. and then God explains God is doing everything, and then God explains why they why they didn't mobilize, and the reasons is they wanted to create confusion, they wanted to cause disputes and divisions, and some would listen, like, because believers have this friendly, extremely friendly attitude, patient, very patient, so which can be a weakness sometimes because you easily fall into listening to people, trying to understand them and whatever, and their intentions are not exposed, not until like hours or days of listening. So that's one downfall of being friendly and patient. Some of you were apt to listen to them. God is fully aware of the transgressors. Okay. Yes, so there might be some submitters who are not certain about things or doubtful about certain things. And then these people start to create disputes and whatever. And then those weaker submitters or people with some doubts, they might feel hesitant, might become uncertain during the mobilization, during the project. Like if imagine you have a project and someone wants to stop in middle of it, you can't have that. I mean, for example, it is actually punishable by many. It is normal to punish it. So, for example, I will give an example of war, of conflict, like physical war. For example, if the United States has some mission, it gives some has some project somewhere, and it tells its soldiers to, go from A to B and do this and that, and then some soldiers, become uncertain, then those soldiers will actually go to prison or whatever. And I think, I don't know if they get executed. I don't know. I'm not sure. But some countries do execute deserters, like deserting. And I'm talking about war now. So you get to these people when they desert their their mission, they get executed or imprisoned, depending on which country it is. And if you're working for a company and you're working on some uh, like secret app, or you're trying to develop a product and you end it midway, then you have to sign like a lot of paperwork that you will not disclose any information. You will not, and if you disclose information, you will go to prison. You will pay like millions in fines, all kinds of stuff. So the concept of punishing someone who stops midway is natural. It's everywhere. So, and these verses are explaining how to avoid that with some people, and how God protects us from those people. So our projects don't get halted by these flimsy people. So God protects us in many ways. Okay, man. So that was a very long explanation for one concept. And it continues, they sought to spread confusion among you in the past. So we can use the past to examine people. Like, what kind of a person is this? And would have caused disputes and division among you. Okay, that's the previous verse. I'm mixing stuff up. They sought to spread confusion among you in the past and confounded the matters for you. So that's one way to recognize these people. Yeah, and they see striving as a hardship. Like, it's just a flimsy excuse, like hardship. Like, ooh, like if you put your shoes on, that's a hardship. Like, I mean, you still have to use energy to bend down, get your shoes, and put them on. So that's a hardship. Like, what are they talking about? If you take a 2 hour long walk, that's a hardship. You're gonna feel sweaty. Maybe your legs are gonna feel a bit too hot or whatever, too warm, tired, hungry, thirsty. That's a hardship. Like, whatever you do in life, it's hard. So such a dumb excuse to say, "Oh, it's hardship. It's hardship." Like, it's silly. It's a very flimsy excuse. And then here is the evil. Here is how evil they are. If something good happens to you, they hurt. So if you're happy and everything is going your way, they feel pain. They hate seeing you being happy and successful. They feel actual pain. Like, they feel hurt, like, really. Oh my god, it's really crazy. And if an affliction befalls you, they say, "We told you so," as they turn away rejoicing. And there are so many such people. Like, "I have told you so." Of course, someone can say, "Oh, I told you so," but they're not rejoicing. Right? It doesn't make them happy. It's more like, "You should have listened to me." Like, but this is like a completely different matter. But I'm talking about specifically people who say, "We told you so," just to insult you, like, and to feel good about it, like to feed their ego, their arrogance. Like, "We told you so," as they turn away rejoicing. They are happy that something bad happened to you. So that's interesting. I don't know if we can track that or recognize that in people. But God knows. So, and here is the definition of a true believer. Nothing, okay, verse 51, say, "Nothing happens to us except what God has decreed for us. He is our Lord and Master. In God the believers shall trust." And this all goes back to God is doing everything. That's the true believer. A believer is one who has come to the unshakable conclusion that God is doing everything. And that conclusion becomes your personality, basically. You are that kind of a person. God is doing everything. You live it. The concept lives through you. Like, it's not a second where you don't believe it. I mean, it has become a reality for you. God is doing everything. It's your reality. It's become reality. And that's the difference between a believer and a hypocrite or a disbeliever. Okay, verse 52. Say you can. So yeah, verse 52. So there's a lot of submitters who believe that we shouldn't be, God is doing everything, therefore we don't have to do anything. Like if you, yeah, that logic is interesting in itself. So that's an interesting statement, but it is wrong, and it's actually satanic, if I may say so. And it contradicts so many verses and so many teachings in the Quran. And we can see it in verse 52 itself. Very straightforward. Say, you can only expect for us one of two good things, victory or martyrdom, while we expect for you condemnation from God and retribution from Him. Retribution from Him or at our hands. Therefore, wait, and we will wait along with you. So, of course, this is talking about people having a conflict. Maybe there's no physical violence going on necessarily. Maybe it's just arguing, like arguing back and forth, whatever. So the believers are patient. They don't care. They understand that the disbelievers have no power. Like the believers are busy fighting in the cause of God, striving in the cause of God with their money, with their lives. There's an ad for alcohol. The believer makes an ad against alcohol. There's a maybe there's a feminist teaching young children to do some weird things. The believer goes to the children and teach them to do the right thing. They are busy. The believers are always busy. So they don't care about the disbelievers, and the disbelievers have no power. So what does the believer expect? Victory or martyrdom? So maybe you are doing something good, and some disbeliever feels bad about it, so he goes behind your back and stabs you or whatever. Like you can't you can't plan for that, what people feel, or if some evil bad, like some evil devilish person is gonna hurt you. You can't, I mean, like you can't plan for that. You can only trust God and whatever. You don't put your trust in God. That's it. Your your only duty is to do the right thing, like strive in the cause of God with your life and with your lives and with your money. You can't be scared of the people. You can't like for example, a lot of submitters. There's a verse that says, "God will make you kings and queens," and a lot of submitters have it. That verse has gotten to their heads. Like a lot of people, a lot of submitters, they actually believe they are kings and queens, but honestly, they wouldn't even like. I'm not. Like, I apologize if I'm dismissing or being rude, but you wouldn't stand a chance against a real king or a real queen. A queen. Like most of these people who have this attitude of, "Oh, I'm a king," or "I'm a queen," those people don't stand a chance in real life with that attitude. And what I'm trying to say here is, you can't actually be a king or a queen if you're afraid of the people. Like, what kind of a king or queen is that? Afraid of doing the right thing, afraid of standing up for the right thing, doing the right thing. That's just weird mentality. I'm a king and a queen, but I'm gonna stay in my tower, you know, minding my own business. Just, hermetism or whatever it's called. Becoming a monk, far away from everybody and not caring about all the evils going on. But there's a lot of people doing that. And this verse tells them straightforward, in their face, in my face, in everybody's face. I'm going to read it again. While we expect for you condemnation from God and retribution from Him, or at our hands. Like, I'm trying to be as clear as possible. From retribution from God or from our hands. So there is no flimsy, circular arguments going on here. You can't escape this clear verse. You can't. But I believe this, or I believe this, or no, maybe God means does it like this, or maybe God means like that. No, it's straightforward. So yeah, and the next verse is, spend willingly or unwillingly, nothing will be accepted from you, for you are evil people. So the evil, there's so many atheists, philanthropists, Christian, Jews, Muslims, Buddhists, all kinds of people who give to charity, who have this holiness around them, like feeling this holiness. And they give to people and they feel good that they are good people. Sad to say, it doesn't work that way. It will not be accepted. It doesn't count. Like, I'm sorry. If you're an idol worshiper, you go to hell. That's the system. That's how it is. It's all about the arrogance. It's all about the ego. If it was all about charity and being good, then Satan wouldn't have been cast away. Then Satan could say, yeah, I can be a god beside God, and I'm a good person because I give to charity, right? So imagine if I'm Satan, yeah, I can be a god, and you can say I'm evil because I give to charity, right? I give to charity. You can say I'm evil. So the definition of good, like, it's so obvious. I'm like, I hope my example of Satan made sense, like really put it in perspective. If giving to charity and all that, and you're still a disbeliever, an idol worshiper, then it counts for nothing. You're going to hell. That's how it is. That's the card on the table. So, and the evidence for that is, or the argument for it is, well, the proof, the evidence is in the Quran. God teaches us exactly that. You can give to charity, you can be the perfect person, but if you're a disbeliever, an idol worshiper, maintained until death, then you go to hell. And we can also argue that Satan, who says that he is a god beside God, we all call him evil, but would we change our mind if Satan started giving to charity? Right? So do you see the conflict here? So there's an issue here. So, yeah. and I'm ending at 454. Surah 9, 53 is the last verse we read today, and I will end there. Alhamdulillah. And now begins the discussions.
Masha Allah, thank you.
And please comment on YouTube if you got any questions.
Thanks, Ahmed. Masha Allah. That's good.
Alhamdulillah. I hope it was good. Very many teachable moments.
Masha Allah, yeah. Yeah, Masha Allah. This whole surah is about striving in the cause of God, Very strong verses. Yeah, I mean, God says in the Quran that there's higher ranks for the strivers. They're both good, but God exalts the strivers over the sedentaries. So we should always, if we truly believe in God, any believer will want to be, will want the higher rank.
Can't hear you.
It's a great opportunity. We have so many avenues to spread, God's message. The biggest problem in the world today is not starvation or, any of these other problems, but the biggest problem in the world right now is that people don't know who they are. They don't know why they're here and all of this stuff. So, striving in God's cause in this manner, by promoting God's truth, I think it's when God says, people who spend before the victory and strive are greater in rank than those who spend after the victory and strive. And so, I see that this is a time where it is before the victory. Submission hasn't completely prevailed in the world, and it will pretty soon. And so, you and I have the opportunity to God willing, because once submission prevails and everybody joins on, gets on the bandwagon, then it's gonna be easy. It's gonna be an easy ride. But right now it's a difficult ride, and that's why God is so appreciative, and He doesn't waste any of our efforts, and He knows that it's difficult, and that's why there's higher ranks. So it's mashallah, it's a great opportunity for all of us, who are submitters, to use this opportunity that God has put us in this time, in this world, to do that striving. Mashallah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. That's true. That is true. So yeah, they pick a lower rank, basically. It's between them and God at the end of the day. But we, like, if I'm out doing something and I need someone trustworthy to complete whatever I'm doing, then I would want someone who is trustworthy. And even if it's a group thing, like a group project, you would want people who are on the same page for the sake of efficiency.
Right.
For example, let's say we're developing a new product or a program, an app or whatever, and you have 5 people on the team who have 20 years experience, and then you have a pupil who has only newly graduated, and he has this attitude like it's no problem. He's a pupil. He will learn, but he has an attitude, very divisive, very argumentative, like annoying, basically, like a mosquito. Then you have to make a choice. Do we keep this guy or like what's going on? He's just interrupting our work, our progress.
Right.
So unless he's gonna, act like a pupil and learn, then he should be fired. And we should get someone new who can help us with the project, with the app or whatever. And that's just reality. It's not necessarily religious. It's just
Right.
how reality works. But these examples that God gives us, they are mixed with religion as well, because like some, right, and the religion is can be so complex for some people. So having a pupil who, or no, not even a pupil, this is a probably a person who has throughout life spread confusion and confounded matters, created disputes and divisions. Like you wouldn't want such a person on your project or among you,
Right.
even if they are like believers or submitters or whatever. Because that's not the issue. The issue is their personality, at least for me.
Anybody else has any comments or questions?
I'm gonna rejoin.
Okay.
I can only see three people.
Oh, yeah. I see one, two, one, two, three people besides me and you. Yeah, or four at most.
Okay,
Who are these?
I don't know. Be right back.
I know. I know one of them is Huda. I don't know. Salāmun Alaykum, Huda. How are you? We can hear you. We can barely hear you. I mean, we can hear your voice, but it's just coming. Looks like it's coming from far. Can you, yeah. Can you speak closer to the mic?
What about now?
Okay. Yeah. Now it's better. Yeah.
Okay. I have a comment, Salam,
Okay.
about verse 34. We talk about creatures with money silver thing. So I have an example applicable to that.
Can you speak more closer into the mic?
I'm back.
Now,
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu Alaikum. Huda has a comment. She's making a comment. We can hear her voice is kind of really low, but she's
can
trying
you
to make a
can
comment.
you can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I say that I have an example for about a famous preacher who his name is Zakir. I don't know if anybody
Right.
heard about that
Yeah. Yeah. Zakir
because
Naik. Yeah.
recently he was accused of collecting millions of dollars by transferring funds and donations from so-called Muslim countries in order to get properties for himself. I don't know if anybody heard about this story because it happened this year, and I see that one of like, um, an example for this verse. Mm.
Right, right.
I don't know him specifically about his case, but there are many such cases. I think there was some pastor in South Africa, maybe. I don't know.
It's Indian preacher. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, there are lots of such people.
Yeah, here in America, there's also quite a lot of. I mean, that's a business, right? That's for them. For most of these people, it's a business. The professional religion
Yeah,
is
it
just.
is.
If some people are good salespeople, they go and become preachers because that's what they do. They just change the subject now. Instead of inviting people to, buy this product or that product, they invite people to come to the church and contribute into their ideology, and they find hooks and ways to capture them. So,
I think some pastor bought a Lamborghini to his wife. His wife, like 1 week before, he raised money. Like, oh, we need money, raise
yeah,
money for Jesus or whatever. And then the next
yeah.
week, he bought a Lamborghini for his wife.
Well, here it's ridiculous. You have you have preachers that are going on TV saying they want to buy a jet, and then their followers, and they ask their followers, say, "Hey, I'm gonna buy a jet. God's gonna bless me with a jet," and you pay into it, and they pay into it, and the
What?
person buys a jet. Yeah, it's
It's
like a comic story.
oh, is he traveling for God?
No,
Is it-
they say, well, they fly missions and whatever. Like they go to places to preach or whatever. I don't know, but it's one of those people, that they believe that God will give them wealth,
Ah,
and they preach that success thing in a way, and I don't know, God, what is it called, gospel of something. They have a specific name for them too. But yeah, I mean, a lot of these people, they have jets, they have their own private jets in America. They're just, and when they create these non-profit organizations, the IRS doesn't really tax them, so
oh wow.
all the money that they get, I mean, they just take, enjoy themselves in this world temporarily. I see Edward's back.
Salãmun Alaykum.
Assalamu
Assalamu
alaikum.
alaikum, Edward. Guess
What,
what?
did you fall asleep, Edward, in the beginning?
I woke up at the beginning.
Oh, because you joined and then you were snoring.
I had the mic off. I couldn't have done that.
We could hear it. I had to mute you.
What's that?
I had to mute you.
How could you have heard me snoring if I already muted myself?
Well, it didn't mute, apparently.
Edward snoring.
Assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Assalamualaikum, everyone.
That's because Ahmad was just boring me to death.
I'm sorry. I tried to make it exciting.
Surah 9 and you still made it boring.
Yep, I got skills. Wasn't there someone posting that they needed money in those Facebook groups?
I think whenever it felt that it was getting boring or something, the kids would yell or scream or something, get everybody's attention.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know. Well, I don't know what to do. I got no power here.
Solomon's driving again.
The usual. What do you guys say about verse 37? About the altering of the sacred month? Why did they change it? Why did the Muslims switch the holy month? Does anyone know?
Disbelievers?
The Muslims, the corrupted Muslim world, changed the Islamic, the holy month. So I'm asking, why
I
did they
said
do
because
that?
they're disbelievers.
What?
My answer was because they're disbelievers.
Yes, but why did they do it? Because they're disbelievers. What was the reasoning?
Because the USNO not exist yet.
Like, did they sit in a circle and decide it? Like, yes, this is a smart decision. Let's do it. I don't know.
Sorry, what verse?
So 37.
937.
Yes, 937. Be right back.
Can you guys hear me?
It was silent for a few minutes, like
Yeah.
nobody was talking.
Okay. Yeah. I was like wondering what's going on because I couldn't hear anyone.
I was grabbing something to eat.
Oh. Oh.
I was snoring.
So.
So, what did you guys think about verse 52? Or actually, never mind. Let's just go back. About the striving in the cause of God with your lives and your money, which indicates you strive with, these verses are not just saying about violence like war or whatever. It says money and lives.
Yeah, so it reminds me of when the verse that says fighting God, where these people bought all of the copies of the Quran, the mathematical
Mm,
miracle, and they burnt them. They're fighting God with their money.
mm,
So when we fight in the cause of God or strive in the cause of God with our money, I mean, it could involve any kind of strategy to strive in the cause of God. It doesn't have to be physical or um, anything. It's the messenger of the covenant was I think very clear about that as well, and he says the fighting, now it's mental. It's not the you're not gonna have the physical war. It's all gonna be mental. So, but of course, in order to do that, you'll have to spend your time, and you're encouraged to spend with your money, strive with your money, spend in the cause of God. Whatever we can based on whatever God has blessed us with, time, money, whatever, and we use that to strive. Because otherwise, then it's like saying that the people who came before at the time of Muhammad had a greater advantage over us because they could do all the striving and say we can't. We can't fight in the cause of God, and they could, and that doesn't make sense. I think it's a quality of the believer that's something that's perpetual at any time. Like any believer can strive in the cause of God. There's always a fight between good and evil going on. And so those who are on the side of God are fighting for the cause of God. And you know, like I think it's just a ridiculous idea that someone tried to sneak into our religion because like even when you have an argument with someone, you say like like someone has an argument with their wife or something. And I think I gave that example before. They're like, oh, I just had a fight with my wife. It doesn't mean you physically were at war with her. you know or you fought with your friend doesn't mean you physically fought him necessarily. Everybody knows that, right? It's not a new concept. So basically, I mean, yeah, you strive in the cause of God with your money. It could be anything. You don't have to even get up and step out of your room. You can do that now anywhere. We have God has given us so many tools, and it's the age of information and technology, and so yeah. I mean, there's so many things we can do to strive in the cause of God today. All these are ways to fight in the cause of God. Put out information for submission. I mean, it doesn't take anything. No physical war, but obviously, I mean, one of the counter arguments that was given in the case of this example about people who they fought God by spending their money. They said that it was because there was some physical effort involved, right? And yes, so then you're saying that the physical effort is not involved when you have to go on the internet. You're not typing physically. Like that doesn't make sense. There's physical in both. Someone spent their money, and someone else went on their computer, and spend their internet money and their time, to fight God. So it's just like it was just I think yeah, it's just doesn't make sense from any angle. The messenger of the covenant has been very clear about this, so I that's why like there's no confusion in my mind, at least, about fighting. Thank God.
Yeah, this they spent their time and life on obtaining the money, and then they use the money
Hmm.
for evil actions or evil causes.
Right. Hmm.
So yeah, I think it's very clear.
What are you eating?
Oh, you can hear it? I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sorry, guys.
That's okay.
It's spaghetti.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, I hope it is very clear now to
Hmm.
everyone that
Right. Yeah.
this is how it is done. There is no
Right.
confusion. There is no but. It's all straightforward.
Yeah. Inshallah. Yeah, and I agree with your idea also. About when you're working on a project and you have someone like that, you wouldn't want to work with them anyways. So God discourages them too, and you know they are told stay behind with those who stay behind.
I think they're inspired to stay behind. So yeah,
Hmm. Yeah.
inspired to stay behind or quit.
Hmm.
And in their mind, sorry, not
It's
supposed to
okay.
talk with food in my mouth. Sorry.
It's
Uh,
okay.
apologizing to all the viewers.
It's okay.
What was I gonna say?
You're saying in their minds.
Oh
I
yeah,
forget.
in their minds, they are doing the right thing.
Hmm.
They are the good people. It's like going to a company that is trying to develop a modern AI, the next generation artificial intelligence, and you're part of that project as a pupil. So you get in like arrogantly and you cause trouble, and then in your mind you're like, "Yeah, I'm too good for this place. I'm gonna leave."
Right.
Like,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, you missed the opportunity of a lifetime to be part of something great. So,
Masha
but
Allah.
you in your head, the arrogance,
Yeah. Yeah.
leave with
Masha
your
Allah.
head high up
Right.
high and whatever.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, God doesn't. God wants strong strivers. God wants strong believers. In His kingdom. He doesn't want people who are wishy-washy. So, you know, and these aren't my words. These are, Rashad's, the Master of the Covenant's words in one of the audios or videos, I think. No, I'm not sure. So, I mean, how can you be how can you be fighting if you're not strong? You have to be strong to fight.
Exactly.
Whether it's through the money, you beg God, so they're eager to actually do that, right? Okay, I think anybody else has any comments or questions? Ario, Edward, Buddha, you guys have any questions about any of the verses? What do you guys think about verse 35? It's pretty crazy. Verse 35. Anyone? Their gold and silver we heated in the fire of hell, then used to burn their foreheads, their sides, and their backs. I mean, can you imagine that? Like, yeah. And I think altering the sacred months, verse 97, it says it's a sign of excessive disbelief. I mean, altering anything that's consecrated by God, or changing any practices, or messing up with anything that God has created laws around. I mean, it's a sign of excessive disbelief. Creating. So what they did is, like, they created this almost like innovation. They just confused the religion for them, changed the religion for the people, and now they confuse the sacred months by making disjointed months as sacred. Even though the Quran talks about them as continuous months, um, they really, that means that people will no longer be able to, one, they they ruin the Hajj by doing that, by limiting it in such a short period of time. But then also, um, they made they made it so that during the sacred months, then the people would people were not allowed to attack, you know in wars. And now, because the months are fudged, then they would be desecrating those sacred months, while when God says don't fight during those months. um, yeah, but I don't know exactly what the reasoning would be for them. They did that. Just a sign. God said that it was a sign of excessive disbelief. So that's what we know. I mean, that's what the root cause is. That because of their disbelief, their disbelief in God, knowingly, you know, pushed them to do this. It wasn't like, oh, we weren't sure. They did it knowingly because of disbelief in God. They don't believe. They didn't believe that they will be held accountable for this. Anybody who lies about God, they do it uh, knowingly, because they think it's not a big deal and they're not going to be held accountable. And really, they don't believe in the hereafter. That's why they do it. So when they do things like that, that's a sign of that's why it's a sign of excessive disbelief, because they never think that they're going to be held accountable for it. It's a serious offense, right?
Yeah, that exposes them. They don't take it seriously.
Right. Yeah. And then on verse 38, you mentioned about, how these people, God says, when they're told mobilizing the cause of God, they become, why do they become heavily attached to the ground? Why do you become heavily attached to the ground? Have you chosen this worldly life in place of the hereafter? So, like, the way I see it is when it says, have you chosen this worldly life in place of the hereafter? Right? When they're told, when they're to mobilize in the cause of God, they choose the worldly life. It can be by people's, like, their worldly priorities are more important for them, or they might even be worried about their worldly image and their worldly friendships and their alliances and all that, and that would that means that they choose, they want to be appear, nice people or something, and they want to get along with everyone. They don't care about what God says. And I mean, that's their goal in life, is to get along with everyone and be popular,
Yeah, that's an interesting addition. I mean, understanding. I wasn't thinking about that, but yeah, that's very good. Makes sense, because it is worldly relationships, basically.
Yeah.
Worldly image,
Yeah.
the status, the image you have in this life. You try to maintain it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even though God says that you do that, but you think in your eyes this is a lowly thing to, to do. So you choose, because, in the worldly sense, you look at it, oh, people look down on this, so I'm not going to do this. Then you're really trying to please people, not God,
Yeah,
or your
yeah,
ego.
yeah. I think that's actually what leads them to accept abominations and whatever,
Right.
and other sins.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh, why not leave them be? Your
Hmm.
religion is your religion. My religion is my religion. Whatever. They use excuses like that to get along with people, basically. To protect their status and relationships.
Well, 39 is very strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you mobilize, he will commit you to painful retribution and substitute other people in your place. Yeah, I mean, God doesn't need us, we need him. So if we think that we're too good for it, God will substitute other people, and that it's a very similar verse where God says, that he'll substitute other people, and they'll be kind and compassionate with the believers and harsh and stern with the disbelievers, and so that's also another substitution that God talks about, in the Quran. And so we better take heed from that. And we have the example of the Arabs, how they were given this religion and they chose to disregard it, and God took it away from them. Now they have no access to the Quran, even though they speak Arabic, which is the language in which the Quran was revealed. They have no access to it. And America, which they despise the most of all the countries in the world, God chose this country, and the message is being flourished from here instead of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, they have been replaced. They treat the Quran more like something with prestige, basically, like a
Like a
status
crown.
thing.
Yeah,
Like a
exactly.
crown. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's so hypocritical, their whole. Man, these people are just. See, when God says the Arabs are the worst in hypocrisy, we know the hypocrites will be condemned to the lowest pit of hell, right? And the Arabs are the worst in hypocrisy. So we know who's gonna have the lowest ranks, or the highest ranks in the negative.
Yeah, they're the worst in hypocrisy. So how can there's no how do you beat that?
People are way
Let's see here.
all these people for them, So they're probably the.
Yes, Surah 4, 145. The hypocrites will be committed to the lowest pit of hell, and you will find no one to help them. I think there's a heart as well. The term heart of hell.
Right.
Let me see if I can
A tree
find
will grow in the heart of hell.
it. When he looks, he will see his friend in the heart of hell. Yeah. $37.51. One of them will say, I used to have a friend. He used to mock. Do you believe all this? After we die and turn into dust and bones, do we get called to account? He will say, just take a look. When he looks, he will see his friend in the heart of hell. Let's see. So everyone, what are you? How are you all striving in the cause of God? Spit it out. Tell me. No one comments.
Yeah. I think Edward went back to sleep.
he's driving.
Yeah. No one else has any comments, I suppose. Just me and Ahmed.
Everyone is busy.
Yeah. They're busy striving.
Maybe it's secret.
Yeah. Yeah, also, I think the verse 50 is pretty. It shows the wickedness in their hearts, you know. They scheme wicked schemes just so they can see you miserable, you know,
Yeah,
and then be happy about it. And
these are things we
it's really,
can't notice.
true believers will never be like that. They will never. Okay, I think if anybody else, do you guys have any comments or questions about the verses we read? If not, God willing, we will stop the YouTube broadcast. Ahmed, if you don't mind, maybe you can stop it if nobody else has any questions or comments.
Let's see.
So before we do that, I just want to say to everyone that our next study is going to be on Wednesday, inshallah, going forward, instead of Thursday. So it's going to be at 6 p.m. Pacific time, God willing. Thank you.
How do I end it?
Go to that settings page and say end live stream. You did that before, right?
Yeah, I'm clicking it. It says start live stream.
Start?
Yeah, but we are streaming. That's weird.
What is start? Do you see that we're streaming already?
Yeah, we are streaming.
Okay.
Maybe it's an old link I clicked. I don't know.
Old link. No, are you? Yeah. No, you. The link changes every day.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I mean, you should see yourself. You should see us in that room if you're in the right room.
Let's see.
Do you want? I'll send it to you.
Yeah, send
I'll send
it.
you the link, inshallah.
Now it says stop streaming. Okay, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. And it's Wednesday last time, right? Next time.
Yes.
Inshallah. Okay, Salãmun Alaykum.